Welcome to the No Name Brand Podcast. My name is Sashka Hanarappel, actress, singer, dancer, turned brand marketing, sales, and advertising strategist who brands your soul. And each week I bring you an inspiring person or message to help you discover your undergod, turn up your leadership notches, challenge the status quo, because you're fast and furious with a powerful message to share with the world. Thank you for taking time out with me today, and without further ado, let's get our creative and wisdom juices flowing. Yabba dabba doo, folks, I'm back with another yummy session for you. Yes! And this week we have a change agent who went from a financial analyst and supervisor to psychic. Her intuition and mediumship gifts were suddenly reawakened when an experience led her on a path to understand the nature of spirit and soul purpose. Oh, yummy. But being a psychic is less about predicting the future. You have smaller toes and ears. Nope, to more about creating it, because everyone is intuitive. Yes, that means you too. And yet this inherent ability has been mocked, ignored, and generally misunderstood for many generations, leaving many professional psychics and mediums skeptic, unclear about the true extent of their abilities and power to change the world. But this is no problem for our next guest, who sees herself as Storm from the X-Men, the superhero who calms the storm and knows how to direct chaos and overwhelm right into another dimension. Poof! With her confidence in her powers, her mission is to show tribe how to embrace their truth and truly, truly love and trust themselves without having to fake it or humming and eyeing affirmations to make a change. Nuh-uh. Our next guest has the strategy, tools, and intuitive insights to get the results you desire. So what do you say we meet the superhero, folks? Yes, please. Well, here she is, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Candice Thomas. Hello, Candice.
Hi, that introduction is great. Oh my goodness.
Now, for our listeners, I can see Candice. So whilst I do read my introduction, because I don't know it off by heart, so I can just see in the corner of my eye, she's laughing and I'm trying to keep a straight face. Very, very difficult when someone's laughing and you can't laugh with them.
It was so great.
So Candice, to get things going forward, I'd love for us to start off by you sharing with us what you had for dinner last, and are you a fan of cooking?
I had Kung Pao chicken last night, and I like baking. I don't know how to cook, actually. I know how to cook
How the hell did you make that
3
chicken?
dishes. Oh, my mother made it for me. My mother moved in with me. I don't live with my mom. My mom moved in with me, and so she made me dinner last night.
Mom, come live with me too. Please, I want you to cook for me. I love it. So you're more of a baker. So you're more the
Yes.
sweet tooth.
Yes.
Nice to know. It's like my sister. She loves that. So I've come to love psychics, mediums, spiritual leaders. Growing up, I was very religious, or I was in religion, and I was taught to fear the souls for fear of going to hell. But what I've learned over the years for myself is not to judge, but to love. Now, this was a big lesson for me. And I know we all have our own superpowers which have been bestowed on us. Thank you very much. And to ignore them, it is actually a sin to ignore them and to limit ourselves to the opinions and the options of others. And it's also not right. So how have you had to deal with the ridicule and skepticism about your psychic powers after moving from financial, very secure job to something very abstract as psychic and medium to where you are now?
That's a really great question. I think one of the things that helped me was I realized I was being ridiculed and mocked even before people knew I was psychic. Like my whole entire life, people were holding me to a standard of what they thought was the best, what they thought was right. And so in my job as a financial analyst and accountant and supervisor, what started to happen was people were constantly accusing me of things I wasn't. Like, you're out to get me. would be some of what my employees would say to me and to my face. I learned a lot of big words for insults because they were a very intelligent group. So you're untenable and this and that and this and that. And so I realized I'm trying my hardest. And no matter what I did, these people are still going to judge me. They're still going to feel some kind of way. They're still going to make assumptions about my intentions and my purpose. And it was like a light bulb moment where it's like, I just really need to do what I want, because regardless, people are always going to they're going to always feel some kind of way. I'm always going to be judged and ridiculed. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I'm trying my hardest here and have everyone's highest intention at heart. Like, they still believe what they believe. And that's fine. Like, they really believed it from their perspective. That's how they saw me, as untenable and unhelpful. Not everyone. It was just usually like one or two people, but still.
That made the most noise.
Yeah. And when that started happening, and that's one of the things that opened my gifts, because I was a people pleaser for a very long time. And I went, before I was promoted and became a supervisor, people really liked me. And then when I became a supervisor, it was like instantaneously I was the enemy. And then suddenly it was almost like there's no history. I was just sort of like, but you people, you know me, you know, I'm not like that. But in their minds, I was the enemy, not everyone, but a few people. And then there was all this judgment. So I think that's one of the things that helps me cope with psychic mediumship. If there's someone now who is skeptical or has derogatory comments, I don't care. It's like, okay, well, whatevs, not trying to convince you. You're not my person then. I don't feel the need to convince them, because they really believe what they believe. And that's fine. Has nothing to do with me.
How are you living by example? Because in some way, inconspicuously, are people pleasing by living by example. So how are you doing it?
That is such a great question. Well, I'm giving myself permission to F up. So I've been practicing radical acceptance. So that I have good days and I have bad days where I too am judgmental and I think I know everything in the world. And I don't, even though I'm a psychic medium. And so I really try to practice mindfulness. And then when I notice, missed a spot, I just love myself anyway and go, okay, great. So why did I do this? Because I know if I'm reacting some kind of way, it's not because I'm crazy. It's not because I'm asleep. It's because logically something has happened, even if it's in my subconscious mind, where it was okay to respond the way that I responded. So instead of being hard on myself, it just helps me take a closer look at, where am I still not feeling whole or complete in myself? So that's how I try to live an example, is by giving myself a break, not being hard on myself, but taking responsibility for my happiness and for moments where I'm not acting the best.
I love that. Was that something you had to learn? Because I can see the parallels between the financial analyst. So there's the boundaries, there's the framework, there's the analyzing, there's the tools, and this is how you apply to the psychic and the medium. But then there's still, that's kind of like the doing part. And then going into that creating being part, how easy was it for you to fuse into that, and to move into it and then combine the two and then teach it?
It wasn't easy to move into it because I was so resistant.
I've been in that club.
Right? Like, the part that I couldn't wrap my head around is I was always feeling like, no, I have to be better. I have to do more. I have to prove that I'm good enough before I can receive all of my blessings, right? And so I actually had moved into teaching. So, and here's the thing, when people talk about you have to be vibrationally aligned in law of attraction, and I think that absolutely is true and works for some people. But for me, I was still doing great things and I was not in whatever vibrational alignment means. I was still all over the place, still very much a people pleaser, still very much not trusting and loving myself. But I was still doing incredible things in my life and for clients that I had. And then my business almost fell apart like a couple years ago. And it was a wake-up call, because I had been doing all these things and I didn't know it. It was unconscious, but I had gotten back into this pattern of doing what other people said I should do for my business. And then it almost tanked. Every time, everything I'd gotten myself into, I had this feeling like, this doesn't feel right. I don't want to do this. But, these people said this is the way to go about things. So when that happened, it forced me into I went into isolation for about 6 months, and I did some deep, it wasn't like complete isolation, but it was like I stopped talking to my friends. I really stopped taking clients. Like, I had to get right. And I went and did some deep inner work and hired my own coach to help me through things. And she was super woo woo. At the time, I had this battle between, I was already kind of weird. And so it was really hard to go from accounting to being a psychic. I'm like, oh, this is really weird. But I had to go there. So I hired my own woo-woo coach that really helped me and held my hand and moved me through the energy. And then just helped me understand, stop being hard on yourself. Really look at, again, if I'm reacting some kind of a way, there's a reason behind it. And the reason isn't because I suck as a human being, or I'm not vibrationally aligned, or I'm not good enough. There's usually some sort of programming. It just clicked all of these things together because I'd studied hypnosis. I'd done all these things before, but it was like moving from lip service and intellectually understanding it to really going, oh, I get it now. I believe it. And then that changed all the work that I did with my clients from then on, because it was like, I need to say it like this and move away from some of the like platitudes and one-liners that we always hear, and to really help people understand, no, but this is what it means. Like, yeah, it's true, but this is the part that you're not getting. And then taking people through the work so that they don't have to like crash and burn and 6 months do nothing. It's like, hey, let's just knock this out very, very quickly.
So what's really find it really interesting is, I mean, I work the same way, is that I don't like having it imprinted on me. So I don't like to do it to my clients as well. It's like, well, I've had success with this. And I'm going, that's great. But your success isn't my success. So this is wonderful. So I like to see the skeleton. I like to see the framework, because all the flesh, that's your business that you had to deal with. I don't need the flesh. I need the framework. So how are you giving, or do you have a framework that you're giving to your clients, teaching them to still stay true, and that ever wonderful word on the internet, authentic to yourself? There we go. I said it. Anyway, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So how are you helping people? I know I'm doing it, but how are you doing it that you still like, it's still you? This is just
Right.
tools that you're working with, but you still have to do you, because if you're not doing you, you're not going to attract your people. So how are you doing that?
When I work with clients, I think a lot of them are surprised because they think I'm just going to go into a bunch of predictions. And I'm results based. Like, I'm not just, I'm going to tell you and you feel good for 2 seconds and stay stuck. It's like, no, we're going to actually do what you want to do
My
and get
kind of
these
gal.
results.
My kind of
And
gal.
right. And so I love the A word, authenticity. I love being authentic. I know it's overused, but I love it. That's one of my home words. So I love how you say the skeleton. And I think one of the things they're surprised about when they work with me is how much they already know. So I feel like a lot of my time is validating. One of the things that I teach my clients is how to connect in with their own spirit and how to access their own guidance. And they suddenly start realizing they've been guided their whole entire life. They just haven't been listening to it. They haven't been trusting because no one has told them, yeah, you're right. Everyone else has been putting in their 2 cents. Like, well, that doesn't make sense. It's like, well, of course it doesn't make sense to you. This isn't your path. This isn't your journey. So one of the ways that I build the framework is by showing them, you're right. You've been getting this stuff all along. A lot of times I'm just validating what they've been experiencing. And then we do deep, like just clearing all the stuff that's been on top of them and holding them back for a variety of reasons, whether it's mindset, like subconscious limiting beliefs or emotional wounds, stuff like that, in that direction.
So how are you positioning yourself? Because I mean, like the same with me, there's like a gazillion marketing, strategy, leadership, branding. There's like millions of us. And the same, I mean, the spiritual world is rising. It's like this phoenix is rising now. People are like, oh my God, it's now coming. We can't burn witches now. No. It's like, we actually have to live with this now. And they're seeing the actual benefits of it. So how are you positioning yourself in the market, and which market, who is your soul client? How are you building that brand authority?
That's a really great question. So I've been positioning myself with entrepreneurs, but what I'm finding is I work best with people who are already very intuitive, but a lot of them don't know it. So it's very similar to my path and purpose. And so it's interesting because I can't say in my marketing, like, oh, you're super intuitive, because they're not going to understand that. So instead, I have to say things like, you're the type of person who can see clearly what to do for everyone else, but you can't do that for yourself. You're the person where if you needed to manifest anything that you weren't emotionally tied to, you can manifest it instantaneously, yet you can't manifest this one thing that you've been trying your whole entire life to do. Like, I have to speak in slick language to like grab the people who I can work with. And then I've also been noticing that because everything is connected together, so I'm attracting people now, and I'm still like, I market to entrepreneurs helping in your business, but I'm noticing I'm attracting entrepreneurs who are like, hey, don't need help with my business. That's cool. I have these deep-seated emotional issues. And then we clear them, and they're telling me, after 3 months, you've cleared what I haven't been able to get rid of with 20 years of therapy and stuff.
What?
So I'm like, yeah. So it's like, well, this is new, but I haven't yet switched to marketing in that direction because they came to me with the marketing I've been doing. So I'm like, I'm just going to stay in my lane and just be open to what else happens here.
Where or how, because I love this question that I have over here, how do you restore your storm superpowers? How do you calm the storms within yourself?
For me, I pretty much, because of the work that I do, I'm meditating every day anyway.
Mm.
So meditation and my time off, I can do a little bit, but I can't do like hour-long meditations. And so for me, actually, it's going to sound weird, but violent video games, like horror
Oh,
video
wow.
games. Yeah, I shoot 'em ups. I think it's just something that gets me out of my head, don't have to think too hard about it, absorbed in
Mm.
story. I also like writing, but if I really need to reset and recharge my superhero battery, it's like disconnecting from online stuff and just, I need to kill a bunch of things. So I think the game I'm playing now is Red Dead Redemption, which is old. It's like a game set with cowboys, and you're not necessarily the good guy. You have to go on all these like missions. So
I
it's just,
love it.
yeah, that helps me reset.
I love it. It
It's
reminds me of someone in my community, Catherine Hames. She's a makeup artist and she's like dragons and games. And I'm like, okay, people. I don't get it, but all right. But now, because I know that you also love writing, so you love writing short plays and plays. And is something in the pipelines that you're writing now? Or what is the vision for incorporating the writing into your business? Because I believe, this is my opinion, I don't believe in one thing for an
right.
entrepreneur or anybody because we're multi-passionate human beings. And we have many outlets that we can bring together with one purpose. So how are you combining all of these elements to better serve yourself and your clients?
Well, anytime I'm in, so my intention is to be a screenwriter, and I've been moving in that direction and taking classes, because that's one of the things when I was younger, people were like, yeah, writing's nice, but get a real job, you know? So I
That's a
abandoned
real
it, you know?
job.
Right, right. But in my mind, people please, I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I will do that.
Mm.
And now I'm like, I'm not going to be hard on myself. But it's like, oh, well, no worries. Best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Second best time is now. So now I'm learning about how to do the writing and the screenwriting. It's great. And just making different types of connections. And my goal is to write like video games. I'd love to write video games and television shows. So
Wow.
just, yeah, yeah. And write books too. But I'd really like to get in front of people, and how that ties to my business is just the power of story. You can communicate so many ideas, especially if it's
Mm.
fictional, where people can learn, oh, here's what intuition looks like and here's how to trust it without me having to say it. I can do it in story. So that's one of my goals, is just to help people awaken to their gifts through the power of story. That's the goal I'm working toward right now, in addition to the stuff I do in my business.
Oh, wow, that's so cool. So for me, I really want to do videos. I'm an actress and I've had this idea since last year and I've planted the seed. So now I'm just going to speak about it because I'm just like, hell, it's recording, who cares? So I have the idea that I want to do videos as well. But the hardest part I found for myself was actually writing short screenplays, whatever, to film everything. Because I'm like, I can act this. I just don't know what I'm acting. Can someone please guide me? And it's really interesting because you would be incorporating your psychic spiritual side to see the person, how to portray and create that storytelling for them, or for me, because I'm just putting
Right,
it out the universe and then putting it together. Maybe I can fight dragons. I don't know. So that'd be pretty cool. I like that idea.
right, right.
The psychic screenplay writer. Ooh. So tell me, what is your vision and mission for teaching professional healers to become the centers of influence in their industry? I mean, how are you helping them expand their healing reach? Like, what is the system that you have and making that impact on the world? I'm making the impact on the world.
First off is know that they can make an impact, and you don't have to wait for someone to
Boom!
prove it. But
Yes,
seriously, and I feel
yes.
like so many incredible healers and powerful like psychics, mediums, whatever words you like to use, they hold themselves back because other people can't see their brilliance. So we wait around for
Mm.
someone to go, oh my gosh, I see that you're going to be rich and famous and you're here to help so many people. And I remember when I learned psychic mediumship from a very famous psychic medium, and people were hoping to get messages that way, and were very disappointed if they got a message like, hey, you know, you can show up in your community and do the best that you can. And they felt like limited. And this whole idea of certain people are chosen to be good things. Like, you know, not everyone can be a writer or an actress. Certain people are just, that's their path. That's what they're meant to do. And then it gets backed up based on your astrology or your numerology. Like there are all these rules. So when I work with healers, intuitives, other people, first thing we have to do is a lot of deprogramming. And it's very interesting because I think people are afraid of, well, if I let go of destiny, if I let go of fate, then that just doubly proves that I'm not going to get to where I want to go. But it's like, no, that's not true. If we let go of the destiny and the fate and start using, because if you are a healer, you are a powerful manifester. If you are a sensitive and empath, you more than anyone have the ability to create the exact life that you want faster than anyone else because you're so open to spirit. So it's getting them in the habit of understanding to a deeper extent beyond what they've been told, what their true superpower is, because a lot of us have been muting it and just following rules, even in the spiritual community. Here's this rule. This is how you heal a person. This is where you stop. This is what you're responsible for. And I'm finding there's, again, some of the bones are correct, but all the stuff that we put on top of it is limiting. We're not really doing to the extent that we need to do what it is that we can show up and help people. Like we've been muting ourselves all this time. And that's why so many people are broke. So many people aren't being as effective, why people don't respect us. It's because we're not going full out. We're kind of hiding behind these rules. And when things get hard, we say, well, that's how it's meant to be, instead of just challenging and go, why? Why is it like that?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the great things about accounting is we just asked a bunch of questions. We have to get to the root of the matter. Like, what's going on here? Why does this look like this? And then find the answer. Like, we don't get to sit back and go, well, your books didn't balance. I guess that's how it is. Like, no, you got to figure that out.
I love it. I love that. That's exactly how I think. I'm like, seriously? Like, when did you decide that? Because I did that. I did the same. A very close friend of mine where we acted together, she just one day piped up and said, I'm not going to be doing acting anymore because it's not a stable profession. And I thought, well, if she said that, then I said that. That's when you decide stupid things. But like you said, 20 years ago would have been good to plant that tree, but I didn't. So I'm going to be doing it now.
Right. Right. And
Yeah.
now is like the best time for creatives. Like now it's just, you just need to be hungry for it and just keep taking action. And people are blowing up. And this is the first time like they're getting famous and they're like in their 50s and it's like, it's fine. And they're all different body types and different colors. Like now is the time for everyone, regardless of their career. Like this is the time we can do it, even though things on the surface might seem really uncertain.
Exactly. If you were to sum yourself up in one word, just one beautiful word, what would that be?
Oh my God.
I know. I'm being very
What?
naughty now because I've had lots of time to think about mine.
You have. One word. Golden. I'm going to go with golden.
Ooh, I like that. Cool. This is our golden girl, our golden storm.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So tell me, how do you want to change or challenge the world doing what you do?
I really want to show people the purpose of embracing your intuition is not just to get stuff, though that's how I kind of hook people in. The purpose is really, in order to embrace your intuition, you really do have to reconnect consciously to your spirit, to your soul truth. And when a person does that, it's like the gap between, a lot of people walk around with feeling like, oh, if I'm successful in my business, then I'm going to be happy. If I get this relationship, then I'm going to be happy. If I please my parents, then I'll be happy. And then they do all these things and the gap doesn't close and they get this feeling of emptiness. And then that's when people start turning on others and going, I'm not happy because of you, because your policies, your politics, whatever, you're the reason why I'm miserable. And then it just leads to mass confusion. So the way that I feel I'm changing the world is by closing the gap within, because it really is just finding your own truth and loving yourself. And not this surface level, people don't understand it, but really closing the gap between you and spirit, or us and spirit. And that's how, when we do that, then we don't need to do all this proving. We do things because we love to do it. We don't care about if someone's doing something differently, because it's like, oh, well, I don't resonate with that, but I don't feel inherently like my life is being threatened or destroyed because I feel so connected to my truth, my spirit, whether it's God, source, universe, like you feel it. There's not a disconnect where you have to go outside of yourself. It's like you can just be in that power and in that energy. So that's one of like my passion. My goal is, let's just really change the world here. But something simple as knowing yourself on this deeper level and knowing your truth and resonating to it every single day. So it's not like a church on Sunday. It's like a church inside that you walk around in and live in and experience life through. Then everything gets radically uncomplicated. where you can switch from this life of pushing and pushing and pushing to get what you want to where you're just truly led, and you don't have to do all this like thinking to get there. You're just in that experience, if that makes sense.
Oh, 100% sense. I was just like, yes, I'm living in that world, people. So with our last question, I'd love for you to fill in the blanks on 3 of my values and what they mean to you. Creativity for you is?
I feel like it's freedom to play. Creativity is freedom to play because we're natural creators. So just let yourself play. Doesn't matter when you're playing. It's not about, is this good or bad? It's experiential, and you're going to get something beautiful out of it either way. So I think it's freedom to play.
Cool. Wisdom for you is?
Trusting myself. See, this is the weird thing. Trusting, even when it could potentially be wrong, because it's wisdom in the moment and at the time. So just trusting whatever I think my wisdom is at the moment. So it's trusting the inherent whatever is coming up at the moment. I'm not saying that the best.
No, I get it. Passion for you is?
Passion is life. I don't understand people who aren't passionate. It's like people will say, oh, you're intense. And it's like, no, I'm passionate. Passion is life for me.
Ramp up your vocabulary, please. That is a no. It's a P, it's an I.
Right.
I love it. Candice, thank you so much for being with us here today on the show and for sharing your intelligence and creativity and wisdom and passion and insight into the world of psychic spirituality and combining the writing and the storm superheroes, the powers, not the superheroes, storm superpowers. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and introducing you to my listeners, my readers. You're reading me. It's been awesome. And you can find out more about Candice in the show notes and what her favorite book is, her favorite quote, where she's on social media, her website. And if you feel called or the message resonated with you where you're like, oh, hang on, she's describing me. I need to get into the school of psychic mediumship. Then please get in contact with her. It'll be awesome. You do us both a good favor in making the world a better place by changing yourself first. Thank you so much, Candice.
Thank you for having me. I loved it. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. And to all my listeners, I will see and hear you next week. Remember to be fast and furious and be the change you want to see in the world. Love you lots. Bye-bye. Dang, that was just supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I enjoyed having you on board, and please do me and you a favor. Head on over to iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. Click subscribe, and a super bonus, leave your review and you stand a chance of being announced and advertised on the show. I'm always striving to ensure that your brand is uplifted and empowered. Remember, done is better than perfect. So be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and send in your feedback too. You're the absolute best. Keep rocking.